With Lost Records Bloom and Rage right around the corner, I thought it'd be a good idea to rank all of the main Life is Strange games in lead up to Bloom and Rage's release. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to rank all of the main Life is Strange games from our most favorite game to our least favorite game, and just kind of let you know what we think. All right, before we start, I just want to go ahead and introduce my special guest for this episode. I've got Jess here. She's going to be doing the ranking as well as myself. So you can see on the bottom here, we've got the main 5 Life is Strange games. I'm not including DLC or anything like that. So the main 5 games here. So I'll make my rankings, and then Jess will also make her rankings as we go through each of the titles. And to go through some of the rankings right now, we've got at the bottom here, we've got meh. I think it's pretty obvious, but it's just not great. It's not amazing. It's just kind of a thing that's there. We've got the good tier, which is, middle of the road. Like, yeah, it's a good game. There's issues with it, but still have a good time with it. And then above good, we have the great tier, which, I think is pretty self-explanatory. It's a great game. It's maybe shy of being a perfect, masterpiece or anything like that, but it's still better than, an average sort of experience. And then the final tier here is superb. I mean, this is just the cream of the crop, the best of the Life is Strange games. Those are the ones that, without a doubt, stand above everything else. And before we actually go into, the ranking today, I think it's worth saying we're probably going to talk a lot about the plots, the characters. So spoiler warning for all of the Life is Strange games. If you haven't played any of them, or if you're in the process of playing them, just click off this video, finish the games, and then come back. Because I think for some of these, at least,
we're going to ruin it.
We're going to ruin them, especially the latest one, because that one's we just played that one. It's the freshest in our minds. And I think I'm just going to kick us off here because I feel like the one that makes the most sense to talk about first is Double Exposure, because it did just come out recently. And this easily, for me, slots into this meh tier. I'm curious to see what you think, when we get to your ranking. I played this game twice. Once just, blind playthrough, kind of experiencing it for the first time like everybody else. But then the second playthrough, I was doing a lot of cleanup, trying to get 100% on the game, get all the achievements, stuff like that. And that second playthrough really, to me, made this game stand out as it's pretty bad. It's not great. I think that a lot has been said about this game online, and I agree with pretty much most of the criticisms towards this one. First 3 chapters, really good, really good, something promising. And then the last 2 chapters just tanked the whole experience for me. They basically end this game as it's like an MCU Avengers thing. Yeah, and I just think that I think it's more of they want the money, which is why they're doing it. It's clear money grab sort of situation, but I don't know. It just didn't really do anything for me, and I'm kind of bummed that they're taking it in this direction just to kind of stretch things out a bit more. Not to mention the ending in the last 2 chapters being kind of mediocre and bad in my opinion. But there are some standout characters in the game. Moses is a great character. I just think he deserved to be in a better game. Then you have someone like Safi that I feel like the devs didn't really know what to do with her for the last 2 chapters. You're supposed to be on her side, or you're supposed to hate her. It doesn't really paint a clear picture, and I think it's because of how that character's written at the end too.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up all of the issues. If you have issues too, I want to hear them. So I'm gonna stop there. But definitely the most recent one is one of, if not the weakest ones in the entire series. I think it's the weakest one. But yeah, what do you think about?
If I could rate it less than meh, I would.
So you're thinking that Double Exposure for you is also meh?
Yeah, but if it could be less than meh, I would rank it less than meh. I just don't like how they used it to tie into the next one. I want actual substance, and I feel
it feels like here's a game to satiate you, but it's not the game that you wanted.
I would have rather them just given me the game.
I mean, it is one of those prequel type part 1s where it's set up, and then none of the setup is.
I will say, spoiler alert, I don't love Max as a character in the OG Life is Strange.
Yeah.
I did like her a lot better in this one. I think they kind of meshed parts of Chloe's characteristics in with her, which made her a lot more palatable and a lot more mature and less sort of whiny. I liked this version of Max a lot better, and that is one of the aspects I will say I think is
I think you're right.
Stand out to me in the game.
Yeah, she's a lot better.
I like her a lot more. I actually wanted to follow her as a protagonist. I got kind of tired being her after a while in the first one, but they modified that, which is why I'm sad that they couldn't make a stellar game around her and these new people she's found.
And everybody really wanted this game to be like the first one, because Max. I mean, the fact that like Max is also in it plays a role, but yeah, I just think that a lot of people, myself included, was just disappointed. I'm glad I didn't pre-order this thing like I was going to originally. Yeah, there's really not much more I want to say about Double Exposure. I just hope that like Bloom and Rage is what this should have been, like you know, like a return to form for Life is Strange, or like, you know, it's not Life is Strange, but you know, same idea. So I don't know. I think I'm just gonna move on then. I want to do True Colors next, because this one I've like flip-flopped back and forth on quite a bit. And at first I really liked it, played it again, didn't really love it as much. But I think overall, despite Alex's powers kind of being a little weak, I'm gonna put it in the good tier. I do think this one is good, and I know like there are a lot of people that kind of can go either way with this one, with the True Colors. Either it's like one of their favorites or like one of their least favorites. For me, it like kind of is just middle of the road sort of thing. Like, it's not bad, it's not great, it's just a good game. And yeah, Alex's powers, I thought were interesting, but I mean, when you come from like Life is Strange or Life is Strange 2, where the powers are like, you know, amplified, like they can do so much. I mean, Alex's powers in True Colors just kind of feels like bland. But not to say that, like, I think that the central location in this game is my favorite.
Yeah.
I love that little town was it Colorado?
I think it was Colorado.
Yeah. Like Colorado Springs-ish, like probably my favorite location in any of these games. Like, it is just a really nice, well-realized location. I think, you know, Life is Strange True Colors, they do that Life is Strange thing where it's like, within the first act, and it's like a Disney movie, it's like, by the first chapter, someone important has to die. Like, one of the best...
Kill off the parents.
Yeah, kill off the parents, or like kill off one of the characters that you like the most. Like, Alex's brother, such a good character. I love that dude. He's dead within the first chapter. And it's like, ugh, why do you do this every time? And I know it's because they're setting up all the other, you know, plot moments in this story, but it sucks because like he is probably my favorite character.
That devastated me.
Yeah, it
immediately.
Sucked. Yeah.
I had to take a break.
True Colors it's nice because you have like the first Life is Strange where it's like, oh my god, this like huge storm is going to take out everything, and like, you know, it's more like the scale and the scope is more like grand than like True Colors, which is more like a quieter, like smaller story. Not like slice of life, but kind of like that, right? It's like the stakes are a lot different. Like the stakes in this one in True Colors is like, oh, this mine blew up and killed my brother or whatever, and it's like, I'm gonna go after like the company. It's like more or less like what happens.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it just, the stakes are very different, but I kind of liked the fact that, you know, that's how this game was. And it also, again, the setting really did a lot for me. Like, it added to the story. It added to like the overall feel of everything. And I did really like that one chapter where they do like the live action role playing in the town, and it turns into like a turn-based RPG. Like, I thought that was fun. What do you think of True Colors? Where does it line up for you?
I don't think it's as good, but it is not the same met as Double Exposure for me. I wish I could split the vote on this one.
Yeah.
But I guess I'd probably put it in good. I liked it more than Double Exposure.
Yeah, me too.
I did think it was easily the most beautiful, like, of all of them. Like, I really felt like I was in the setting. It opened with a Gabrielle Aplin song. I was very into that.
The licensed music in this game's great too.
It was good.
I mean, we didn't really talk about that in Double Exposure, but I mean, in most of these Life is Strange games, I feel like all the licensed music is pretty good.
Yeah.
And we'll get to, I think, my favorite, or I know later on we'll go through like the other rankings and stuff, but yeah, I think Life is Strange 2 definitely has like excellent. The best licensed music out of all these games. But anyway, yeah.
This one, close second for me.
Yeah.
I liked it. It was a much quieter story, but I thought the characters, I like how they brought back Steph.
That was pretty cool.
That was really cool.
Love Steph.
Would love to see that in more of the other games.
You will.
Super cool.
Oh, you will now.
I liked the characters, and I liked how much time you got to spend with, I cannot remember his name.
What?
The miner's son.
Oh, that dude, yeah. I forget his name too, but I know what you mean. Like,
yeah, I like that you got to spend a lot more time like with them doing stuff and splitting your time between them specifically.
Yeah.
I think my qualm with this game is I feel like I spend more time doing like side quests than I do the actual plot. By the time you get to the plot and you get to the very ending, the ending happens very quickly, all in a bar, and comes to a head, and then it's just over. It felt like it should have been longer. The betrayal should have felt larger than it was.
Yeah, I agree.
The bar owner, whose name
Jed?
I can't... It is
Was
Jed.
it Jed? Jet.
I have
Jed?
no idea.
I think it's like Jed.
I kept
right?
jokingly calling him Jedediah as I was playing, but I
then
do
maybe,
not
yeah.
remember his actual name.
I liked him in the beginning, but then by the end I was
Well,
like, they kind of just
but that's
put
why
him in
I
a
liked
corner
him.
as like, he's bad,
Well,
like, you know.
That's
I don't know.
that's why I didn't like the ending so much. It's like,
Yeah.
I saw it, I thought it was a good betrayal, but I don't feel like we spent enough time with it for it to feel like it pays off. I just kind of feel like now he is the town villain.
Right.
And
It's
very
like,
much
okay, now you hate him. It's
a
like
caricature of it.
well, almost like Safi in a way, but I still don't know, like, I don't know. Maybe not the same
I liked
thing.
him. He was more helpful, I thought, but
I liked him.
Of guilt.
I liked him too
I
for a
liked
while.
him. I thought he was conflicted.
Yeah.
I thought he was conflicted and definitely bad, and the perpetrator of all the bad events going on in the town, and obviously with Alex's brother.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have sat with that more.
That's fair.
The forgiveness happens much too quickly for me. Overall, yeah, you know what? As I talk about it more, I'm realizing it's not bad. I definitely like it way more than Double Exposure.
I think that's
Double
the
Exposure. I was playing
barometer
to get
of like,
through and
yeah,
be done.
yeah, exactly.
True Colors, I got through pretty easily, but was just a little like the ending was a little lackluster. So
maybe we should do. Let's go to Before the Storm, because we're talking about like quieter, smaller scale, sort of like. This one's really hard because I really like Chloe as a character, and I don't know if I want to put this in good. I'm like I'm debating. I think I might. I think it's good for me. But you know what? It's definitely better than True Colors, so I'll just move Before the Storm. Like this. I'll just do it like that. So yeah, I think Life is Strange Before the Storm, that one is like another quieter, smaller scale game. I think the real problem is this has that like prequel problem where like what's going to happen by the end of this game, and the stakes don't really mean anything. I feel like all the stakes that exist in the game, they don't really have like a weight by the end, because you just know like this person's going to get kidnapped, this person will eventually die. It's like, not to say that like it destroys the experience, but for me, like the prequel problem kind of like makes it sort of lower on the tier list for me, just because you know what's going to happen when you get to like Life is Strange with the first one, or like what the fate is for all these characters. I think the fact that you get to spend a lot of time with Chloe's mom and her stepdad, like I liked all of that stuff in here. Like that was easily one of my favorite parts of it. And just giving some more characterizations to Rachel, right? Like we don't know anything really about her in the first game, so seeing like her and Chloe interact and like how their friendship grows and the stuff that they kind of go through together, that's all great. It's really awesome. But I think for me, again, like a really solid, good game. Like these are by no means like, this is not like a horrible game because it's in the good tier. For me, there's certain things that kind of keep it from being great.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Before the Storm?
I feel like now that I'm looking at this tier ranking, I'm like changing some of my opinions from what I initially thought they'd be.
Yeah, this one's tricky because it really is tricky. I don't know.
It's not tricky for me. I know it's going in great or superb.
Yeah.
You know what? No, for me, superb.
Damn. Hey, all right. Well,
I have the opposite with prequels. I love how informative this one is, and I love it because Chloe, throughout the series, she gets a mention in every single game. She gets some sort of nod in every single game. She is this franchise's most tragic character. She is. There's nothing she can do to make her life better. We've seen all the glimpses of her, like, what could be her future. They're all depressing as shit.
Yeah.
Like, I think this game... Like, I agree. You know exactly what's going to happen, but for me, the real power of this game is, like, when I was playing the first Life is Strange, you definitely get the mentions of Rachel, obviously. Like, she's always in the background.
Yep.
But I don't think... You gotta keep playing through and, like, really read between the lines to kind of know what Chloe and Rachel's relationship was. And I really like this game because you really do see how confusing and muddled it is for even Chloe to decipher her feelings. And for me, the game really highlights just, like, how muddled and complicated those feelings can be for you watching, but also for Chloe, who it's happening to. Like, she doesn't have a great grasp, it feels like, in Before the Storm of what her relationship with Rachel is, whether they are just really good friends and this is what it is to have a really good friends, or whether like there's something more there and it's not in her head. And I think that really informs the loss that she feels in the first game we play. I think it fills in and it colors a lot of Chloe. It colors a lot of her family life even before. I think it just highlights even more tragic she is as like this series goes on. I don't have to guess whether I think Rachel is like kind of like just one of those people who are selecting Chloe because she's a misfit to kind of parade her around as a friend. I really buy into their friendship in this game and like that they were close by the events. And I wasn't sure playing the first game. I wasn't sure if it was actually like one-sided or not, but playing this game I feel
kind of solidified.
It's not. I also love all the like little, you get to see her act and the Shakespearean stuff, and I love like Chloe getting thrown out there.
Yeah.
This game did a lot for me, even though like I know there's no cool powers. It's not really forwarding much other than that particular relationship. But that's all I needed it to be. Like, I loved Chloe so much in the first game. I was like, wow, I wish she could be our protagonist. So getting more of her for me really, really worked, even though you know exactly where it's all headed. But I will never forget, like, the train sequence where they hop the train. What is better than being a teenager fantasizing about running away on a train with, like, your best bud?
All right, I think we should move on to Life is Strange 2.
Yeah,
I think we've talked plenty about.
Otherwise, I'm gonna keep waxing poetic.
So Life is Strange 2, this one's interesting because my like one friend who got me into Life is Strange, like who basically was like, you should play Life is Strange. Like he loves this series overall. He did not like Life is Strange 2, so for like the longest time, I didn't want to play 2. And we talked about this too, where it's like, let's just skip it, who cares? But I think it was like Life is Strange 2 is free on like PlayStation 1 month, so I was like, let's just play it, and like if it's bad we'll just turn it off. I don't know what the heck he was talking about. Life is Strange 2 is probably like my second favorite game in this entire series. Yeah, I really like Life is Strange 2. I know some people don't because of like the subject matter and all this stuff, and like I feel like they handled it all pretty well though. You know, like some of the more touchy subjects that come up in here, I thought that they handled it pretty well. My biggest thing is I really like, it's Sean, right? Is that the main character? Sean, yeah, because
Daniel,
right? Yeah, because I think the main character that you play as, you know, it's interesting because he doesn't have any powers. Your younger brother is the one that has powers, and you're trying to like raise him to be a decent person, which he's not. He sucks the whole way through. Every small thing that you do or don't do, David will remember and sort of like it'll shape his character through the entirety of the game. Like no other Life is Strange game has done that, where like you have this little like younger brother type character, or like you have like, you know, a character that you kind of influence throughout the game with every small thing. Like if you steal something in a convenience store, he'll remember to steal something later on in the game. If you lie, he's gonna lie later in the game.
Which is crazy because the game lets you make a few decisions before you know you're influencing him. Then you're like,
and then you get to the end and you're like, oh shit, I did that in like chapter 1.
Every decision mattered.
Felt like every single decision mattered in this one.
I think the first time you find out your decision matters is when you're trying to steal stuff out of the convenience store.
Yes,
but by then you've already made several decisions where you have to. That was crazy to me at that reveal, and I was like, well...
It's pretty cool. And no other game really has that, so it definitely stands out in that way. Probably my other favorite thing about this game is the licensed music, which I know we kind of briefly
music
talked.
In this one.
I think the music in this one's the best of the series. Like all the licensed tracks and stuff. Yeah, I understand people's problems with this game. I think the younger brother it's both impressive that the developers and the writers made this character, like David, the younger brother, made him like who he is in the game, because it's pretty spot on. Like if you're an oldest sibling and like you play this game, you're like, I hate this younger brother character, he's so annoying. But then it's like you feel what it is to just be like the oldest, you know, child in that situation where it's like, I guess I'll just eat shit and like this is my life now.
That's the anxiety about the game as an oldest child is I was like, great, more responsibilities in this video game.
Yeah.
They really nailed something though with how accurate that younger sibling dynamic and youngest sibling thing is. That was crazy to me.
Yeah, that they nail all that, but I think that's what makes it less palatable for some people because he's so freaking annoying. The other thing that holds it back up for me a little bit is, unlike something like True Colors or Before the Storm, which that very sort of like tight insular story.
This is the opposite.
Life is Strange 2, you bop around, like every chapter you're at, like you're a weed farm, you're with your grandparents.
You're
Again,
wandering.
we're spoiling stuff here, but like
you're a nomad.
You're a nomad. Yeah, exactly. Every single chapter you're meeting a new group, you're in a new location, and I think, that helps bring variety to the game, and it prevents something like double exposure, for example. Like, I did not like Caldera. I thought, like, at college campus, I'm like, fine, cool, whatever. Yeah. True Colors did that better in terms of, like, insular, singular, one main location, and then that character, like, the location is the character, it defines everything else. Yeah. Life is Strange 2, though, like, you jump around so much that my big problem sometimes is, like, I really want to spend more time with specific characters because they introduce them, they're really interesting, and then they go away. The jumping around, I do like that it introduces something new each chapter, but then I feel bad because I really love certain characters. We don't get to spend enough time with them, but that is the nature of the story. So it's really not like, logically it doesn't make sense to just bring everybody along for the road trip that happens in this game.
I have to preface this by saying I did not actually play the game. I watched Greg play the game because since his friend said it was bad, and I've played all of them, I was like, you can have the game, that's going to be bad. But the whole time I was watching him, I was wishing I could just yank the controller out of his hand and play because I was really into watching this. I'm going to say superb.
Damn, is it above Before the Storm?
I think it's above Before the Storm.
All right, I'm going to move it over then.
I think it's a skosh above Before the Storm. Second most tragic character in this series.
Actually,
Sean.
Sean you're right.
Does not matter if you set a good example. All his endings suck, and it's not really his fault. He's the fall guy. It's not fair.
Well, that's the thing too. This game has like a ton of endings. There's like 5 endings.
Like 4.
Yeah, four something like that. But the most endings out of any of these games.
And even the happiest ending is like, spoiler alert, prison for 30 years is like probably his happiest ending.
Yeah.
Without an eye. Yeah, I feel like the stakes in this one are the highest because literally every decision points you towards an ending, and like even if you made every good decision, the ending is still kind of bleak for Sean at least.
Right.
Daniel gets off scot-free because he's a younger child. Sorry.
But I mean, again, there's 4 or 5 endings, and most of the endings are based off of like every single action that Daniel, right?
Yeah.
He picks up on or doesn't pick up on. Like,
yeah.
You get to the end sequence of the game, and it really is like a toss-up depending on like what kind of David you've shaped as like an older sibling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
you have raised your
you've raised
your youngest sibling, and you get to see the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get people who don't like the like more politicized aspect of this. I don't think it's that heavy.
It's not heavy-handed.
I think they do. It's not heavy-handed. I think it just is what it is. For context. Yeah. They're both clearly like Mexican American.
Yeah.
Right? And I guess I won't spoil the whole thing. No, I will.
No, that's the whole point. Go ahead. Do it.
Okay, I think, first of all, so they lose their father during a police shooting.
Great character. I love the dad.
Father,
yeah.
The father's the greatest character
so
ever.
Good.
You get him for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think the fact that they are U.S. citizens, they have to make a pilgrimage to Mexico where they clearly won't, like, the being forced out of where they live just based on like their background, I think is the least fair aspect of this game.
Right.
Like that they have every right to just kind of stay with their grandpa, but they don't because they know that's not how it's gonna work. I think this game has a lot of really interesting things to say about actions, consequences, and like if the punishment is fair and fits the crime. I love that you meet Chloe's stepdad in here, and he's kind of, I guess, depending...
One of the coolest reveals, yeah.
One of the coolest reveals. I don't know if that changes whether
it's
based
David,
on...
Right? David's the dad?
David. I don't know if that changes based on, like, usually in a lot of these games at the beginning it asks you whether you chose to, like, save the
Arcadia,
town, Arcadia Bay, or save Chloe.
Double Exposure, it asks that. And
and I think it depends on some of the, like, little sequences you get. Spoiler alert, I did not save Chloe, I saved the many.
Yeah.
So in this one I selected that. I think that's why the ending populated David, and he's like writing to Joyce, and like it's a cool little tidbit. I don't know what else to say about this game. There are too many twists to even kind of reveal. It goes from point A and it's like you're done. Point B, C. It does move quickly, but I still think it's a really good game, and I I think it's just so interesting they made the main character not the one with the powers. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about it. I like it. I'd be really curious, like, what people think about the endings and whether they think, like, do any of them serve justice to any of the characters? Like that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in people's self-commentary on, like, when they got their ending, what was their first reaction? What did they think about it in the context of the whole?
I think when I finished it, you were like, wow, you got the bad ending. And I looked it up. I'm like, that's one of the better endings. I was like, this is like the second best ending you could get in this game, actually.
Yeah, that was.
And I like it more than like the best, quote unquote, best ending in that game. I like mine more than I think the canon one or whatever.
Yeah, it's a good game to me. Well, I guess it's time to move on to the last one.
Yeah, I think let's go to the last one. Here's the first game. I'm just going to say it's going in Suburb. I flip-flop a lot on this first one. Again, my buddy introduced me to like the Life is Strange games, told me to play them. The first Life is Strange was free on PlayStation. I played parts of the first chapter, couldn't get into it, put it down, and then a couple years went by, and then you wanted to try it out. And so
why did I want to?
I don't know.
I was like, I like choice games.
Oh yeah, you
where
like
there's a consequence.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, you should try Life is Strange. I couldn't get into it, and you immediately were like hooked. Like you loved just the type of game and experience that like Life is Strange.
I like
games
to
are.
speak to every person. I like
to
look at every nook and every cranny. I take my time. I don't want to miss anything.
And I think probably like
I think for that game specifically, it's a good trait to have.
It's a good trait to have because I will watch you play it and you'd be finding like a bunch of little details about like this person or like backstory about this thing that happened.
Hooking up in this game.
Yeah. So I think watching you play it added a lot. Because I was able to just enjoy it as like an interactive experience, like like a little movie. While I don't love the first 3 chapters of the first game, the last 2 chapters have some of the highest highs in the entire franchise. 100%.
Absolutely.
Chapters 4 and 5 are like the strongest I think out of most any of these games.
No, I agree.
I love the surrealist moments where like there's so many like cool crazy moments in the last 2 chapters. I think like. Again, the biggest thing is I love the more surreal moments that they kind of throw in there. Like, you're trapped in this, like, endless loop in the school and, like, stuff like that. It gets pretty dark and kind of creepy at times in the last chapter. When the storm is hitting Arcadia Bay, there's, like, whales flying into buildings. Like, cool stuff like that. And, again, the stakes in this game are high in the sense that, like, where you live, is it going to be destroyed? Or, like, are you going to save Chloe? It's like, there's, the stakes are a lot higher than a lot of the other games. Minus like Life is Strange 2 because you're just like on the run the whole time. But the actual impact of like what this storm will have on
it's like
all
only
these people.
The decision falls squarely on your shoulders.
There's more weight in that decision, and it actually it did something to me. I also liked all the alternate reality timelines they did with like Chloe and Max's relationship, and like Chloe gets like really sick and like in a wheelchair and one. There's some cool
tragic
stuff in
character.
there. They hate her. Square Enix really does not like Chloe.
Yeah.
They're like, just write her out. Just kill her.
Chloe.
Yeah. Max is not my favorite character in the first game by far. Chloe really is the person that puts everything on their shoulders in the first game. And I do think like Double Exposure Max is a lot cooler. But it really just comes down to the fact that you can sort of like replay certain experiences, see how everything plays out, and then make a decision. And those last 2 chapters really, really do a lot to make this game like my favorite, I think. And also like cool villain, cool setup for like the villain in the game, Mr. Jefferson.
The handsome photography teacher. Everyone's like, ooh.
Yeah. But what about you? What do you think about the first one? Where does it fall for you?
I think for me, it falls squarely on the high end of great.
Okay.
I agree with you about the first few chapters. I think it takes a little while to get in. And for me personally, I don't know if people agree or like staunchly disagree. It was really hard for me like playing with Max as a character. I get that Max is supposed to be introverted and like a lot of people are kind of that introverted in high school or whatever. But it's not that Max is introverted that bothers me. It's that Max has no personality outside of what's happening around her.
I think
so. After a while, like but the thing is, the gameplay mechanics of getting to rewind every interaction, every decision, like kind of partially makes up for that because I'm so distracted by like making the right decision, saying the right thing to the right person to get whatever information I need that like. I can let it slide, but especially when you're like alongside Chloe, they don't.
I think that's the problem.
I don't think Max is super likable or sympathetic character. I think Max just happens to be the catalyst and the like vessel for all these things.
Yeah.
Which is why I liked that they kind of, I think, fixed that aspect of her personality in Double Exposure. But this, I love it. I think being able to, if you're a person that you sometimes just constantly are thinking about what you wish you could re-say or redo, this is so much fun because you get to explore every avenue, and that like immediately grabbed me because some of the decisions are small and some of the things you do are big, but you don't quite know how those are adding up till the end. I think the first few chapters are slow, but you're right, the last two really
it's those last two. They go from 0 to 1,000 for both of those chapters. Is it Nathan Prescott? Yeah, Nathan Prescott.
Absolute villain.
Big villain.
Don't care that his daddy's mean. He's mean too.
He sucks too.
What is with these like little secret societies within the high schools of these games?
It's like, but every single one of these games has that. I don't know if that's just like the developers and the writers being like, well, every school has these things. It's like, no, we don't. Do we?
Do art schools have these? If you've been to a private art academy, do you have little secret like fraternity sorority clubs?
I can't remember. It's
the Vortex.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like some of this stuff is crazy and I love it because it reminds me of watching like a teen drama like on the CW. Yeah, I think the twist and reveal at the end, the like yourself getting kidnapped in like your art and your hobby becomes the thing that is like tormenting you.
In your mind it's like
I think it's crazy.
Cool.
It is so crazy that they end up doing that. I remember when she was like at the end, and I guess it's in her little like hallucination sequence, she's at her gallery getting an award. I was like, oh, this is nice, we're at the end, and then it gets crazier and I was like, never mind. This is too much for a high schooler to handle. But it's good. It really sets the tone for how crazy all these games can get and how dark they can all deviate into.
It basically did, because all these games have those like darker surrealist
I'm always really scared of when that moment's going to come where I find out someone's kidnapped in a basement, similar to this. But in this one, it's really horrific, and especially when you find like the binder with like Rachel's name on it.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's how you find out, right? Like
I think that's
binders or some sort of folder that has their photographs, and I think on the desk you just see it's like Rachel Amber, right?
Right.
The scariest reveal of all time. It sets the tone. It's good. I think some of the other ones I just like a little better, just because I think the characters are more interesting.
I think that's fair too. I do think that's fair, and I agree.
But there is no other games without this one. So
how you feeling about your list?
I feel pretty good about my list. Some of them aren't where I thought they were originally gonna be till I kind of started talking about them.
That's like how I felt about Before the Storm. Originally I thought it was like great, and I'm like, it still has the potential to go into great, like right behind 2, but it's still definitely better than True Colors and Double Exposure. You know what I mean? Like all of these games are really like, they're great games. So even if something's in good, that doesn't mean it's garbage. Like every game minus Double Exposure, I think, is totally worth playing.
No, I agree.
They're really, really solid. There's a reason people love these games. Because they're awesome. And that's why we're excited for Bloom and Rage, because if that can do what the first game did for Life is Strange, that would be awesome. That would be really good.
Every time I see a trailer, I'm so excited for Bloom and Rage.
It's like 9 days.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, me too. But I feel pretty good with my list too. I'm kind of curious though, like what do you guys, where do you guys think, or what do you guys think about all of the Life is Strange games? Do you have a favorite? What's your least favorite one? But yeah, if you guys want to go ahead and leave your rankings in the comments down below, love to just kind of see what you all think about the series, what's your favorite, and things like that. And until next time, I'll see you on the next video. And thank you, Jess, for helping with your little ranking.
Thanks for letting me yap.